Hey, nice to see you again. This time, we're going to talk about software. Software is a big topic in the agency world because a successful software stack will give you really, really good productivity and allow you to manage your agency really, really well. Well, I'm going to talk to you about how to do it right, or at least how we did it in our agency, so that you avoid a lot of mistakes people fall into. And I think the first point we need to cover is that software is really not a magic bullet that people think it is. And you really need to not think about all possible solutions that exist, because there will be always a better type of software that you can find and something new people come up with. You need to think about functionality and how difficult it would be for you to move from one software solution to another, and how disruptive it's going to be in your business. So let's cover what we've done so far in our agency. So before we get into the actual software that we use in our agency, I wanted to mention a couple of things. First of all, when you select software, you kind of need to select for majority of people, because people will have different personalities and they will like to use different types of software based on their personalities, right? Sometimes people like one interface versus another. So I think when you select software that you're going to be using, you really need to think about what majority of people will use, and actually what software will make their life more productive or get more productivity out of them, right? So I would be careful jumping from one thing to another, because, like I said, there's always a better solution somewhere. So as long as you approach it realistically and really kind of like be a politician, try to find a solution that will work for majority of the people. So another point I wanted to make is that for software, you really need to consider how many different types of softwares you're going to be using, right? Because imagine you're using 50 different pieces of software, and now you need to bring all of that data into one source. It's going to be a huge undertaking. I would recommend against it, and maybe finding solutions that will give you more all-in-one type solutions, and maybe getting them kind of combining different software packages, right? Because the less different types of separate software you're using, the easier it is going to be to adapt within everybody in your company and actually use it, right? Because, one big problem with software is that people don't actually make use of it, even though the solution is available, right? So you kind of need to do it in a smart way, as opposed to just chasing the best solution out there. So let's now talk about what type of software you would need as a software stack. So there's different departments within the business usually, and probably one common department for most businesses is sales department, right? So what do you need for sales department? Well, you need a solution that will track communication between you and your clients, keep the history of it, and also allow you to do proposals and basically invoicing, right? So those three things you need within the sales environment. So you need to have a software that does history, a software and allows you follow up. You need a proposal software. Maybe they're going to be included as part of one package, and you need invoicing software, right? The next thing it's very, very important to have is calendar management, right? Calendar and email management. So whatever package you choose, it needs to be kind of linked together really, really easily. And one thing that I found that it needs to have is a really good search capability, because when you have a huge volume of emails coming in every day, you need to be able to find the right one quite easily. So the next part is production. Within production environment, you have projects, so you need some sort of a project management software, right? And sometimes project management software and task management software is linked to the customer relations, so CRM, customer relationship management. If you have that all in one package, that's great because it saves you time. It's all in one place. If you don't, very often people use two different types of software to basically solve that problem, right? The second thing is You definitely need the email management because you need to communicate with both clients and with your production team. But as well, you need to have some sort of a live communication channel, right? So you need to have some sort of a chat type software. Even I worked in environments where it was literally live office environment, right? So we were sitting, each desk was next to each other, and even then we used a live channel such as Slack, right? So hugely important, and sometimes it kind of helps with the recording of the history a little bit, which is great. You also need time management, right? So if you have employees or contractors, you really need to track their time and make sure that things are done in a timely manner and in the way you want them to do. I would add screen sharing of some sort, right? So whether you're using some sort of a screen capture software that allows you to take static pictures and video, it really helps on the production side, or you're using some sort of just like screen sharing software where you can show somebody something on the screen. Very often we work with clients that are in another country, or they are away on the trip, so this kind of showing them things over the internet helps tremendously. There is another couple of things on the production side. So document management is really important portion of how you need to keep track of the production cycle, right? Definitely having some sort of a place to store documents and retrieve them and categorize them is really important. I would also add on the production side and on the sales side some sort of a personal productivity software where you would essentially manage your own time, right? So you have 50 tasks. How do you do them most effectively, right? And I have a couple of suggestions for you coming up. Okay, so let's first talk about the sales side, and I'll basically tell you what we do right now in our agency. So the first thing is sales flow and kind of capturing of leads. So we use a software called Pipedrive. There's many other ones on the market. Pipedrive allows you to basically customize the sales pipeline exactly how you want it in your business, and essentially has a good way integrating with G Suite that we use for email management. They kind of work really well together. As well, it allows you to do things like connect to Zapier, which is an automation software, and export leads based on certain triggers. So there's quite a bit of automation that this software allows you to do that you really need in your business in order to make things run more efficiently. The next thing we use is something that's called FreshBooks. Now, FreshBooks is a proposal and an invoicing software, as well as allows you to do some bookkeeping. So we chose to use that in our business simply because FreshBooks, our business need is not as complex. So FreshBooks allows us to accomplish what we want to accomplish quite easily and quite economically. Now, I would caution that if you are running a business that has inventory or just more complex accounting, FreshBooks is not going to be a good enough solution for you. You would probably need to go to a solution like QuickBooks or another accounting solution that will allow you to capture more complex financial transactions. But if you're running an agency, for the most part, FreshBooks will do the job, and it will be quite easy to use. So that's kind of our choice for our agency. The next part is email management. So email management is huge in sales, and because most communication ends up happening through email. And having an efficient system for email management is absolutely paramount. So I've actually used Microsoft solutions before, like Office 365. And my preference is G Suite. So we basically made a choice because I think they have a very, very good search capability. So it's very easy to find emails from many, many years ago when you are looking for something. There's many plugins that allow you to customize your mailbox how you want it to be and really filter things really effectively. It's a full suite for document management as well, where you can use Google Drive to store documents of various sorts, right? So we really decided to move in G Suite's favor because it kind of covers all the bases and it basically costs the same thing as Microsoft Office 365. Now, the last part within the sales is probably the best tip I got because I discovered the software recently. It's called Otter, and essentially it's a transcription software. So what happens is that on sales calls, you want to document what happened during the sales call, and you want to do it in a way that is not going to take all your time. The way the software works is that you simply record the call, whatever the call you're doing, whether it's an in-person call or a video call, and you just upload it to Otter, and it does the transcription. It is not perfect by any means, but if you need precise notes, I just give it to my VA, and he cleans up the notes, and you get literally 100% of the notes in, I would say, 20 seconds of work. So it's a pretty good solution for salespeople when it comes to note-taking. Okay, now let's talk about production. So within production, there's many options in terms of what software you can use for project management. Now, we debated it quite a bit, and there's a lot of pros and cons of using different types of solution. So we ended up using Basecamp, and honestly, it's not the best solution in my opinion. But what happened, this is the point that I made earlier in this video, is that majority of people know how to use it in our company. And moving to a different solution for us would be super costly and super time consuming, right? So we decided to just stick with it because it's actually a really good solution. It does all it needs to do. Yeah, maybe there's some fancy features that we don't have in Basecamp, but it does the job. And if it does the job, if it's not broken, why fix it, right? So the next one I'm going to talk about is something that's called Hubstaff, because within a production environment, like I said, you do need to track time. And something to consider is that you need to not only track time, you need to check productivity in general, how busy people are in general. Are they doing the job that they're supposed to do? So, for example, Hubstaff takes screenshots of the desktop while the person is working, so it can give you an idea of what they're doing specifically during the work hours, right? And we've had situations where people were not doing work, right? So, it's just an indication for you, for a management team, of how well the person is performing. Now, the other thing that it does, it has a section for vacation management, right? So when you have staff, people will ask for time off, and how do you track it? You can do it in a spreadsheet, but Hubstaff does it automatically, and there's an approval process in place. So again, a pretty good solution of how to manage it when you have staff. The next part is live communication. So live communication in a production environment is huge because team members need to talk to each other consistently. So whatever solution you use, make sure that there's some sort of a live chat option in it. We chose to use Slack simply because Slack is a very flexible solution that a lot of people are using already, including our clients. And it basically allows us to do most things we need to do, as well as some advanced things. For example, there's something that's called Slack shortcuts that allows you to introduce a little bit of automation within the Slack channel when you're working, right? It also allows you to kind of keep some documents. You can upload videos to the channel. So there's a lot. It's a very flexible solution that I like personally myself quite a bit. But it really doesn't matter. I mean, Skype will do the same thing. There's many different solutions, right? So as long as you have some sort of a live communication method, that's the important part. The next part that I want to talk about is something that's called automation. And process documentation. So they kind of relate to each other because within the company, you will have best practices, or you want to have processes that people will follow in order for you to get the job done right. So there's two software that we use in order to kind of record these processes and then assign them on an automatic basis. One of them is called Process Street, and it is really advanced solution for process management, right? So we use this for onboarding our clients. We use this for having checklists that our employees can complete on a weekly basis, so they don't forget the details of their job. Because it's once you train somebody, it's very easy for you to start omitting little details. And if those details are crucial to their job, you kind of want to ensure that they keep doing that time and time again. And Zapier allows us to automate a lot of assignments. So for example, what we do is we take certain reoccurring checklists, right? So we would have a process defined in Process Street, and then that process we use Zapier to assign every week to an employee, right? And then we don't really have to do anything because that process happens automatically. The next part we're going to talk about is personal productivity, and it's one of those things that people don't really think about because there's so many different solutions. But I gotta say, it's pretty important, because once you get to a flow where you have hundreds of tasks coming your way, you really need to have a solution that will manage the tasks based on your personality, right? And this software package I found quite recently, and I'm absolutely blown away by how well it works, because it allows you to build a workflow really based on what you like, not kind of like one or two methods that the software provider designed. So the software is called Amazing Marvin, and it's a collection of different ways of working put together in one solution. There's probably like 20 different ways of managing tasks that can be customized to your particular needs. So you can really build a workflow that will work exactly the way you work, not like somebody else, but exactly how you work. And to me, when you try to manage workflow, that's the most important thing, because oftentimes I end up using like maybe 2% of what a software can do. And if I can customize it, I will maximize the software's capabilities. So really like that software quite a bit. So as a last point, I just want to bring up just an idea. So there's softwares that are all-in-one solutions, and I highly recommend using one of them instead of using different types of software for different types of problems you have in your business. So I'm going to mention two, but there's many more. So these are ones that I vetted personally, and I kind of like them. I've actually used them in my other businesses. So one of them is called Bitrix 24. It's essentially a full solution for basically all of the parts that I described that we do separately. And the only reason why we're not using it is because we already have an existing software stack, and like I said, it would be really time consuming for us to move, but I really like that software. It even allows you to build an in-house call center if you wanted to at a very cheap cost. The second software I was going to talk about is called 17 Hats. It's one of those all-in-one solutions, very similar to Bitrix 24, and I haven't used it personally, but the suite of kind of features that it has is pretty amazing for a very low cost. It basically has, anything from bookkeeping to invoicing to proposal management to project management, literally everything that I described, which is pretty cool. And if you are new to the agency world, or you want to basically find a good software stack, that's a great way to go. That's pretty much it for our agency software stack. I hope this was helpful. Hey, I really appreciate you watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe. If you run YouTube ads or you have an offer, let's talk. We would love to talk to you about our agency services. I'll put a link in the description so you can make an appointment with us and we can have a chat. I look forward to seeing you next time as we come up with this type of videos all the time. Thanks a lot, and see you next time. Thanks a lot.
With our feet on the ground, and we will talk with our head in the clouds, and we will walk